Alright, listen, I know I'm like half a year too late to talk about this, but I was busy wasting time. Alright? Here's the thing, I'm not claiming Wish is secretly really good or even mildly good. However, from what I've seen, the two big complaints about this movie are that the music is bad and the lyrics are awkward, and the villain's switch to evil seems sudden and random. And frankly, I disagree. I mean, the music isn't very good, but I think the villain is more interesting than people say he is, and part of that is because of how the first song in the movie sounds. For those of you that don't know, Disney's Wish is a movie in which a magician, Magnifico, makes a kingdom where everyone gives their wishes, in this movie called by Magnifico the very best part of someone's heart, so he can protect them and, in some cases, grant them. Or at least that's the claim. Except we later learn that a wish is extremely fragile outside of one's body. Indeed, Magnifico himself is the one that ends up pointing that out. Now, besides stupidity, why would he put people's wishes in such a vulnerable position? Well, wishes feel good. Indeed, there's an entire song that definitely isn't a repurposed love song about how amazing the wishes he's amassed feel all bunched up together like that. I think Magnifico just likes having wishes around him and doesn't really care about anything else, but this idea of protecting wishes makes people give them their wishes, so that's what he says. It almost seems like Magnifico figured out how to take a wish, liked how it felt, and then figured out the easiest way to get a bunch of wishes together was for people to just give them to him, so he built Rosas in the hope of doing just that, making the place free to live and claiming to take the wishes for protection to get more and more people to come to Rosas. Also, minor side note, Magnifico just has an evil cursed book on display behind a mild charm. Anyone who has an evil book on display, no matter how powerful the magic that protects it is not exactly worried about what will happen if he decides to use it. But what does all that have to do with the first song in the movie, Welcome to Rosas? Well, at first glance, Welcome to Rosas is just your generic everything is great song at the beginning of a musical where everyone comes together to sing about how great things are and to explain the world before everything falls apart. Except that's not the case here at all. Besides the fact that only one character is really part of this song, it is also in-universe sung to a group of newcomers coming to visit Rosas for the first time, which means this song is really an in-universe advertisement for Rosas, trying to convince the people to stay. As far as we know, it's a diegetic song, and our main character Asha is actually singing to the newcomers in-universe, and these dancers and the townsfolk singing are all part of the advertisement. They may believe what they're saying, but it's still an advertisement. And in that context, it becomes a lot more malicious. Consider the examples Asha gives of things you can do in Rosas. Dance on beat, have hair touch down to your feet, and go to outer space. These are potentially supposed to be examples of wishes, but two of these you can just do. Having hair touch down to your feet might take some effort, and it's possible that it was a wish he made, in which case get a more interesting wish, man. But even if that is the case, it looks like most of the time he's got it hidden up in his hat anyways, which makes sense since otherwise it would get everywhere. Dancing on beat might require some classes, and considering half the town seems to be able to do it, they probably do have classes. And then there's going to outer space, which of course is the one we don't actually see because there's no way Magnifico would ever grant that wish. But the idea is there, and since you saw the evidence of the other two, clearly the third, and frankly only interesting one, must be possible too. We do see some other things that were probably wishes in this song, and sure, being an expert carver would normally take a lifetime, so it's a reasonable thing to show, but all we see the guy do is make a carving of Magnifico. Speaking of, then we get to the description of Magnifico, and here they attempt to make him this scary, powerful being, and also relatable. Asha says she's just kidding after saying he's got lightning for hands and eyes that can glow, but considering the huge statue in the town square, along with all the other art depicting him, and the fact that she said this to a little child, people are probably still going to think it is slightly true. It doesn't help that Magnifico seems to mostly just spend time in his castle either, really making him this mysterious figure that you don't really know, which is why it's important to say he's just like us, so that you're more likely to trust him him as your king. Being seen as both relatable and way more powerful than you could ever be is a classic. And then we get to the wishes. In the song, Asha mentions how you get to give your wish in the ceremony when you turn 18, but based on what we hear from Asha's friends, it might very well be have to, as these folks seem worried about turning 18 because they've seen what happened to their friend Simon when he gave his wish. He became a lot less interesting. And this makes sense. As Magnifico can't have adults running around with their wishes with them, that might prove that you can accomplish them without a magician's help, or at least that you still have your spark of life when you keep your wish. Asha also says that you don't even miss your wish when you say goodbye, but that's not exactly true. It's true that you don't remember your wish, but it's very obvious that you miss it. Everyone in this town is obsessed with getting their wishes granted, to the point where Simon would betray his friends just to get his wish granted, and Asha's poor grandpa is very sad, being 100 years old and still not having his wish granted. And that's probably most people. Magnifico only really grants wishes once a month, as we're told in this song, and that's not often at all. In the song, Asha sings about how you could get your wish granted someday, but of course the important minor detail in that is that it probably won't be, ever. Even if Magnifico didn't just choose that some people should never get their wish granted, statistically speaking, you won't get your wish granted. There's just not enough months in the year. The wishes we see in the song, if all of those are wishes, would take a full half a year to be granted. And of course that's the case because Magnifico wants a large number of wishes with him. So obviously he's not going to grant everyone's wish, even if they are safe wishes. But saying that isn't good advertising. So instead we say that it could be you, just enough to give you hope to come to Rosas and give your wish to Magnifico. And so, in the context of Welcome to Rosas being frankly almost false advertising for Rosas, it almost becomes a villain song in the vein of Poor Unfortunate Souls, where the villain is pretending to be nice and helpful, but is secretly just being manipulative. Except in this case, the song is sung by our hero on behalf of the villain, without knowing what she's doing. And I think that makes it a very interesting song, and in turn makes Magnifico a lot more interesting of a villain.
Welcome to Rosas, come on, come this way, where the greatest creations are all on display.